What if the problem isn't you? What if you're in the wrong room? My suspicion? You're not broken and you don't need to be fixed. You have outgrown where you are. Let's get more space and freedom to redesign the life you deserve. Welcome to the Reinvention Room. I'm Allison Hare, coach for ambitious women making big changes, and we are rethinking everything we've been taught. Part pop culture, part real talk, and all smarter ways to live life on your own terms. I'm so glad you're here. This one, it's going to be a doozy. Today, we are unpacking one of the most gripping and frankly, disturbing stories that shook pop culture and is raising big questions about perfectionism, exceptionalism, sharing personal details of your private life, including the lives of your children, and the powerful draw of belonging. Yep, we are talking about the Ruby Franke case. And if you're not familiar with Ruby Franke, we are discussing the harrowing docuseries. It's on Hulu, following Ruby Franke's rise as a Mormon mommy vlogger, her criminal fall, and ties with cult leader Jodi Hildebrandt, and how all of this resonates in a community built around religious idealism. And you know me, I can't resist dissecting cults at the cross-section of religion and social media's allure, and oh my God, exploring what it says about our deepest human needs. Today, it's not going to be just me. I am joined by non-Mormon Utah resident and mental wellness coach, Janelle Devlin. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to navigate life kind of as an outsider in the heart of Mormon country, you are going to be gripping the edge of your seat. So if you've got some friends that would enjoy this and are really into pop culture and being judgy on cults, won't you send them this episode? Just shoot them a text, post it on your socials, whatever. Let's get to my chat about Ruby Franke and Mormon culture with my guest, Janelle Devlin. Okay, so I have been waiting for this for so long. And by so long, it is that I watched the Ruby Franke documentary. It's called Devil in Our Family, Devil in the Family. And at the time when I was watching this and like super obsessed, I am in a conference with the amazing Janelle Devlin, who I got to meet. Janelle, welcome to the Reinvention Room. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here.
Janelle is this like dynamic, beautiful, gorgeous, smart, successful, just this powerhouse of a person. And as I was, busy obsessing over Ruby Franke, she told me that you live in where?
I live in St. George, Utah, the warm corner of Utah.
As soon as she said St. George, Utah, which is where
the big crackdown,
Ruby Franke got arrested, right? in there. Well, we just went down a rabbit hole, and I thought what we could do today, I love these cultural deep dives on this podcast. And at the time you had not seen it, but now you have. Janelle, there is a Hulu series about Ruby Franke. If you don't know who Ruby Franke is, she was a really popular family vlogger. And in Utah, generally speaking, in the Mormon culture, we are going to be talking to Janelle because she is a non-Mormon living in Utah about what is life like. So this is going to be such a freaking juicy episode. So I want you to stay through it, but we'll start kind of with the Ruby Franke thing. Ruby Franke was a really, really successful family vlogger, mother of 6. She kind of documented everything. And it turns out that she was abusing her children and getting tangled up in a cult-like figure or truly a cult of somebody else, and ended up getting arrested. She's in jail for presumably 30, she's serving 30 years. Whether she will actually serve 30 years is to be seen. But it is a very controversial story on a lot of ways, and a very disturbing stories in what she had done to her children. So that's the frame up of this. Janelle, tell me, what was it like watching this? And tell me everything.
Well, I was familiar because I had a great friend in Australia. The morning of August 24th, 2023, I guess she messaged me and she said, "Oh my gosh, it's all over the news. This is St. George, Utah. Like, did you know?" And to that point, I had never watched the Eight Passengers, YouTube channel. Wasn't familiar. I do know we have a lot of big YouTubers in this area, a lot that are into the grip ninja, like the Ninja Warrior. There's a lot of just culturally down here, being in a place that doesn't get snow, year round. There's a lot of sport. There's a lot of kind of elite level things that kids can be involved with as far as sports and activities. So I did know there was a lot of YouTube activity here. So when you mentioned this to me, and I thought, I never really went deep with it. I never knew what happened with that. It did blow my mind. And I guess just thinking how a lot came together. And I think living here, we've lived here now, it'll be 4 years this summer. And we moved here because we liked the culture here. We liked the shared values. We liked the warmth. We were from Colorado. We were kind of done shoveling snow. We just wanted to be able to see it at a distance.
Right.
And we loved just the patriotism. We loved that people just seemed more laid back. It just seemed like politically, it just wasn't so tense like it was where we came from. So we really loved the people here. We really, really loved what it kind of stood for in this area. And then going a little bit deeper, it has been interesting. And that'll look through the podcast through the eyes of the religious part of this, and to see how could some of this have perhaps played in. Does it with everybody?
Yes.
No. I mean, I do say a lot of my closest friends and people that I work with very closely, I love dearly, and they are Mormon. And I do want to say for some of our listeners that might not be familiar. So in 2018, the church president did make an announcement saying, we no longer want to be referred to as Mormons. We want to be referred to as Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So like the whole thing.
Okay.
So that is fairly recent. I mean, what is that? Probably 7 years. So Mormon is still widely recognized, of course. But so I thought we'll obviously use that during this podcast. I tend to I feel like maybe the in-between is I say LDS. So a lot of people will say,
LDS.
"Oh, are you LDS?" Or I'll maybe have my coffee, and sometimes that's just kind of a sign that I'm not LDS, or things come up in conversation.
What does that mean, Janelle? What do you mean coffee is a sign you're not LDS?
Well, one thing that Allison and I, that we were talking about at the conference, and I think having lived here now for these few years, I forget how many things are so different here. So, for example, the LDS religion is against coffee. Coffee, tea, it's about how it's brewed. It's very fascinating if you guys want to look into it some more, but coffee is not okay. Now, if you're really following the teachings, coffee is not okay. Brewed teas, not okay. And so sometimes it just happens to be if you're out and about. Generally, if you have a cup like this, yes, you could have hot chocolate, but usually this means like you're having coffee. What you might see as an alternative is you might see the big gulps, but we have some real bougie soda places around here. We were talking about that, weren't we, Allison? And I thought this was kind of normal, or maybe people knew this, but in lieu of, yes, we have great coffee shops, but we have on most corners, we have soda shops, drive through, little, almost very small footprint, almost like the Small Dutch Brothers or those drive-through coffee places. You have the soda shops. And so my daughter worked there for 9 months last year. And she said, Mom, you wouldn't believe the people driving through 9 a.m., getting their mixed drink that's a Monster plus a Mountain Dew plus sometimes it'd be 8 to 10 different syrups.
What?
And then sometimes on top of it all, they got to make sure it's all diet and sugar-free because somehow that makes it all okay. So it's not necessarily the caffeine. Some people think it's just, the LDS faith is no caffeine. What I've learned, and some have different stances on this, but it's not necessarily that, but it's the source. So, Mountain Dew wasn't around, of course, when Joseph Smith back in the 1870s.
No.
Monsters weren't around then. Meaning Monster drinks, energy drinks. And so it's so interesting, some of the rules around even food and drink down here, which is very different.
I still think it's interesting about the rules. So when we're thinking about LDS or Mormon, and as it relates to Ruby Franke, I'm still interested to get your perspective on the rules. And so the Mormon faith, and I'm no expert, but from what I can tell, there is so much emphasis on perfection. I read the word exceptionalism as it
Mm,
relates to that. What does it mean to be exceptional all the time? And so as you ascend into the higher planes, what is the highest plane?
the celestial kingdom, the highest
Celestial.
level of heaven.
Yes. Yeah, the highest level of heaven. It has everything to do with, I believe it is obedience of like perfection of not falling off the mantle, not sinning, right? What does that look like? And so
Mhm.
I'm thinking about Ruby Franke having 6 kids. And she's this beautiful woman, obviously somebody that is fueled by looking perfect, but also by the virtue of external validation, likes and shares and whatever. And so she literally built a business on documenting her family. There was a lot of controversy around the kids never consented to it. And come to find out, the 2 eldest children were on this documentary. One of them wrote a best-selling memoir
Mhm.
called House of
The
My
House
Mother.
of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest
Yes.
for Freedom, Sherry Franke. Mhm.
By Sherry Franke. I crushed it in 2 days. So every moment that I wasn't at that conference, I had it in my ears.
Oh, I know.
And it was so insane about that quest for perfectionism. Janelle, when you're seeing this and you get to also look outside of you walking out your door, what is it like being part of this community and witnessing it? And do you find yourself influenced by looking a certain way, being pulled together? I mean, you are a freaking smoke show. You always look good.
Very sweet.
And I've known you for like a year, right? But I wonder what it has been like for you.
Okay, so having come from Colorado, and if you've seen, there's always these funny things I laugh about online because you have like this Utah mom that kind of makes fun, and she even says, I'm making fun of myself, mostly, but she kind of talks about the culture of a Utah mom. And it's like, yes, it's like the Stanley and it's the extensions, it's the lashes, it's all the things.
That sounds like
Um,
a basic girl, basic biatch. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I mean,
A
yeah,
white girl.
right. I mean, all the things. And then you have Colorado, which we were kind of known for, I would say, being near the Boulder area. It's very more like hippie. It's nothing to be out without makeup. If you're in the gym, you usually don't have
Yeah.
makeup on, maybe a little bit. But here, it's you mentioned perfection, and I would add to that performance culture and to that
Oh,
exceptionalism. It is very, again, my insight now, is this everyone? No. There's some fantastic, super authentic people, just as there are. We have extremes of
sure.
any sect of
Yeah.
religion or any sect of people. My brother and I talk about this a lot because we're on different pages with things, and I say, hey, let's be honest, every sect has an extreme. However, it's hard. I believe it's hard for some to reconcile this feeling to be this expectation of them to be as perfect as possible. I was on a walk the other day with a friend of mine who was raised in the LDS faith, was married in the church, had her temple garments, had her children blessed, the whole thing. And then it was 5-6 years ago. She and her husband both were like, they had a real moment of stopping and checking and doing some research. They ended up leaving the LDS faith, and they're evangelical Christians now. And I do say, and I will get back to the topic because you asked a really great question. But what I see a lot of, if someone does choose to leave, and there's a good amount in this area, you have those that are your very devout, LDS faith. You have those that have left. And I get it. Maybe they've been hurt or there's been things that have happened. And so they go the entire other direction of like no religion, nothing. Maybe they go more like the new age end of the spectrum. But then you have others, and this is like my heart as a Christian myself, where they feel like they don't have to throw Jesus out with the bathwater. They don't have to say it's all not truth. And so you do have we're finding a lot that are coming into the evangelical Christian faith of just needing to get a lot of questions answered. And a lot of them, the conversations we have, it's let's like throw off this performance culture. It's not about performance. And so I do believe and what I have seen with these friends, as we've talked through things, as we've journeyed through, there's a lot of heaviness of, am I doing good enough? But if I don't do this well enough, what about my family in heaven? And a big part of the LDS faith that I really enjoy having conversations with my LDS friends on is the whole perspective of family is forever. And so it's very much, and again, listeners can go and look into that some more, but it's very much family is forever in heaven. If we all do the right things, we'll all be able to be family together in heaven. And it's not that that's essentially bad or that, but it's very much a core part of their belief. And so because of that, we want to make sure we're all together. We have to make sure we're all performing. And something else that I always find so interesting is in another conversation with someone, their brother had an affair in the LDS church, and it was found out and went to the bishop, and I guess that this is the big difference. That individual who wanted to be a part of the church again was given a whole roadmap of, I don't know if it was 4, maybe 5 years of things that would need to happen and would need to be done in order for him to be temple worthy and to then be worthy to be in the church. And so I guess I just share that not from a place of judgment, but from a place of, holy crap, can you imagine that amount of pressure to make sure we're doing it all right and performing so that we can have grace? And again, as a Christian, I believe like Jesus came to say, my grace is sufficient for you. And to say that grace is enough, but that's very different. So I say this because I enjoy these conversations. I feel like it's brought some great things to the surface for maybe some people who are struggling or just want to get a little more clear on things that there's some very different foundational beliefs. And my hope is that people can find freedom outside of a performance culture. So as far as what does it feel like, I actually was chuckling because I was out hiking this morning with the girls, no makeup, came back, did a little curl, little hairspray. And lately I have been doing the lashes. So, a lot of us here in Utah do the little stick-on lashes. I leave mine on for a week, but I started putting mascara on and I thought, nope, I'm just doing this. And I find myself wanting to make sure my friends see me without makeup and with. And I never really thought of that before, but there's some friends that I've known for 3 or 4 years, and I'd say there's some of my very close friends, I've only ever seen them all made up. And that's very common in the gym.
Yeah.
Late night events, first thing in the morning. So it's very much there's more of a performance feeling here than any other place that I've lived, from Colorado, California, New York. And at the same time, some of the most fantastic people. So when I think about the documentary, and in the beginning, you remember, Allison, how they kind of gave some background about at one of the general conferences. I'm not sure if this was President Nelson in 2018 at the same time that they said, hey, we'd like to be referred to as Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But it was around that time frame when they wanted for people to get out online more, right? And like show our beautiful, perfect lives online. Guys, let's get out there. I don't know if you saw they showed that clip in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how that's all played out, because you do see a lot of that online.
Wow. I have so many questions about this, because when I think about the performance culture, and if I'm not a Ruby Franke apologizer, but if I were to have some kind of sympathy or compassion or really understanding, and I think where I've been racking my brain about how could this have happened, I wonder if somewhere in her mind she did not want 6 kids, if she didn't want to, if that was a true desire of hers versus God's plan to just, be at the mercy of your husband's desires, wants. Again, I'm not an expert in it, but I know that part is very big, to submit to your husband, that he is the head of the household, and the household reports to the bishop. Bishop is like the leader of the tribe, right? He's keeping everybody together and upright. And I wonder, so there is presumed that as Ruby Franke and her husband got involved, and her family, got involved with this cult leader who was kind of a personal development guru
Mhm.
that was known to kind of be a man hater and was really not kind, like finding fault in everybody. And it is rumored that that woman was a homosexual.
Mm.
And
I think you mentioned that to me. That was news to me.
right. And so, and again, I don't know for sure, but
Mhm.
um, through diaries or whatever, it is inferred that Ruby and this woman who she got, this cult leader person, were kind of enmeshed in a codependent relationship where they ended up shutting out their families in favor of supporting each other, and had this thought that demons were possessing the children, and that's why they needed to be disciplined, they needed to be abused, they were starved, they were beaten, they were tied up, they were baking, they were forced to be put out in
Mm.
the sun. It was just
Lord.
unimaginable
Yeah.
torture, neglect, because their impression was that demons had come in.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it makes me wonder, do you think that maybe Ruby was gay? Maybe this woman was also gay and hated that they could not be, part of this straight and narrow thing that they have been conditioned and born and bred to be. And I wonder how that
Mm.
fits in society. Not that I'm giving any excuses for
Totally.
their abhorrent behavior, but it makes me wonder about people who don't really fit in the mold that they were conditioned to be in, and how alienating it must be to kind of act in this perfect performative way and get rewarded for it, but it ends up backfiring because there is this clip that was shown in the documentary, and it says that Ruby is documenting everything, and she is yelling at her kids. She's
Mm.
upset with them, and she makes a comment that these cameras are what control me. Meaning, if
Yeah,
they
I
weren't
heard that.
there, she
Mhm.
would let loose on them. And you just have to wonder, what happens if you don't fit the mold and you have to?
I think when we look at from the beginning of history, we look at when religion has been used as control, it never turns out good. Like, let's look at the Viking raids. Let's look at, even though something at its core can be good, when it's used for power and control, I mean, it just never works out well. And so I think looking at this situation, having watched the documentary, I know you've read the book. I'm not there yet.
Yes. So good.
But when you look at and
So
you zoom
good.
out and you're like, is this a new thing? In a way, no, it's not. Using maybe this cover of I am a religious person and I am a licensed, well, she was a Jody Hildebrand was a licensed therapist who, again, I guess then did not have her license for many years leading up to it, and referred to herself at a higher with higher accolades than she actually had. But when this has been used as power in setting this up, and this control, even with parenting and bringing in, speaking to the the parents who are wanting so badly for their family to do it right, to do it well, to do better. There's I guess I don't fully understand this, but I guess as at a certain age for a lot of teens, as they kind of get into the temple. I don't want to say temple recommend. I'm not sure if that's what that is at that time, but there's a bracelet and or a ring that says CTR. Have you heard that?
Mm, uh-uh.
And I guess it's very much a phrase in the LDS faith of choose the right. Choose the right. I kind of think of it as like, you send
Ah.
your kids out, you're like, make good choices.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this choose the right. So you can imagine the family that has teens, which teens' brains are, even in the work that I do with nutrition and the gut brain connection, and you think about like what's happening in kids and teens in their brains as they're developing, there's so much going on. And if there's a little bit of rebellion, a little bit of sass and back, this is a time to come in, as a parent with some like actual effective strategies. However, looking at this and what they've done, they took the vulnerabilities of these parents and said, we have it. And guess what? It's wrapped in religion. It's wrapped in therapy. This is what you need. And even from the video, I mean, it was very evident. There was quite the following down here with this connections group, right? Of here's the way. It's going to seem forceful. You might have to take away their bed for a couple days, or whatever it was they were teaching, so you can see how the religion was used along with control. And I just think anytime those are together, from my perspective, I mean, it's just never a good outcome. So like, do I think she was gay? I mean, I guess I don't really have an answer for that, but there was definitely some interesting things that were shared in the documentary and from the daughter. But I guess I just think no matter what, obviously these two individuals became mentally ill. And they say the difference with psychopaths and sociopaths is one is learned behavior and one is sometimes has some genetic components, but definitely there
I
can be
did not
learned
know that.
behavior. Yes. Yeah. So learned behavior, I want to make sure I say this correctly. I've been learning a lot about narcissists in the last couple of years of my adulting life, and I don't want to be so careful to not always just label someone as a narcissist who's difficult
Well,
and
she is
self-centered.
clinically a narcissist, Ruby Franke.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so a lot of that can be learned behavior. Could be that she had a fantastic upbringing, but that combination of unhealthy religious perspectives along with control, along with popularity. I mean, it was shared how she would get so fueled. I mean, imagine the dopamine hit. Oh my gosh, our first 1,000,000 followers. Oh my gosh, our
Yes.
first $100,000 paycheck from YouTube. Like, again, age old wisdom, right? Like, you can look back in the Bible, like the proverbs of what money can do. Not that money's evil, but the love of money. And I just see that woven throughout this of like, it can start out as good intentions. It can start out as family. And I want to be the best, the mom, America's mom, I think they had referred to her as. But when that comes together with this kind of popularity in a culture where we're the first generation, Allison, like you and I, to have this ubiquitous access to these little devices. And we're just now starting to see what that can do, right? Like we're the first generation to maybe have like YouTube channels and to kind of see it through and to see. So I think it just opens up this Pandora's box. And we're just now starting to see in this situation is sadly, but maybe thankfully, opening up a lot of people's eyes to, okay, really is like our biggest success, our following online. Like, is that really the measure of who we are and our worth? I know that makes me think about things for me being online. Like, really is my following, does that make me a better business owner? If I have more, is that really what it's about? But this is all new to us. So I do think just a perfect storm is what this whole fall of humanity that we've seen here. It's wild. What sticks out to you when you think about it? Like when you think about, is there anything else for you that just opened your eyes that you've been thinking about?
I felt like so much of what Ruby Franke, all the behind the scenes stuff, was closer to home than I would have liked. Meaning we all, those of us that are online and on social media, we all would love to have our family, our lifestyle adored and coveted, and to have things look pretty. And I remember when my kids were younger, and it was so important to me. And back then I was struggling with body dysmorphia and disordered eating and orthorexia. And it was so critically important to me that I was not the mom that let herself go after she had babies. And so I went off the deep end in that's not going to be me. And
Yes.
it was so important to me to look like the unfettered mom and to be the unfettered mom, that the only evidence that I had kids, I did not want it on my body. I wanted my kids to be the only evidence, and I wanted to be perfect. And so I had plastic surgery. It was horribly botched. It was just a really intense time. And so I relate to wanting things to look perfect because it's the first time you have kids. You don't know. Your identity is shifting. And when I would hear her, they would show behind the scenes footage of her yelling at her kids and going, "Stop it. I am recording." And I've done that. Like
Oh, we all
I've
have.
done that. It's like that two-faced thing. Like I remember growing up where, my mother was a mom of 6 kids as well. And so she was always pleasant and had her shit together in public. But in private, she would haul off and, yell at us. And back then we would get spanked. And I think that was normal back then. I don't spank my kids, but we thought that she was two-faced. And so I think about when Ruby is yelling at her kids, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, here's my art project and everything is great." I don't feel like it's unrealistic to want to look a certain way and to feel guilty of that. I don't know if you have felt that way. I mean, I'm much less polished, but I do find myself being guilty of editing how I come across a lot because I don't want to be a maniac and I don't want to
Right.
be somebody to think I'm crazy or a bad mom or whatever it is. And I don't think I'm a bad mom. I don't,
You're
but
not.
there are times when I'm like, that was not my finest moment. And, I
Mhm.
apologize to my kids and, all of that. I don't
Yeah.
know. I felt like it was close to home in
Mhm.
a way I wasn't. Yeah, it was too close.
I know exactly how you feel. And even as I speak with clients from the coaching perspective, so, my background's in nursing. I was a surgical post-trauma nurse for 13 years and then got into the holistic side of wellness. So,
Yeah.
but now in the coaching part with women, so I'll do the nutritional side, but my husband and I both in our coaching, our goal is to work with people who want to not only scale their business, but along the way, they want to also scale, grow, know how to nurture the most important relationships in their life. If they're married, if they have kids, because again, all of this tech, it's new to our generation. And what we do and don't do, then the next generation is going to be dealing with. And so to know that our maybe human instinct is to want to do things so well to make sure that we do appear how we want to appear because we see how other people appear online and we would be lying if we said that didn't influence how then we want to appear. I
Yeah.
mean, I think about that with my house. I was thinking recently, my mom passed away in September and she was amazing. She was an amazing housewife. She was a home ec major. And so it was very important to her how the house looked. Now there was pros and cons of that, but it made me think, let's just say I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s. Let's say the late mid 90s, okay? Our moms, the only other time that someone saw our moms' faces is if they saw them in person or maybe a Christmas card. I don't know what else.
Wait,
And the only
what?
time I'm just saying the only time you would see my mom in the 90s, let's just say, the only time you would see a mother in the 90s would be if you saw her face to face, or maybe you
Okay.
saw a Christmas card or something
Right.
that was in the mail, or maybe if she was
She's
in the
not taking
newspaper.
pictures of herself. She's taking pictures
We
of her
had
family.
none of this. We had none
Yeah.
of this. And
Right.
so we have that partnered with seeing all the time, not just in Better Homes and Gardens magazine, all the time we see the best photo shoots of everyone else's house. And so how could that not put more pressure on us as far as our own appearance
Mm.
and the appearance of our home? But in the 90s, it wasn't even a thing. You would only see a mother's house in the 90s if you were actually over at her freaking house. You never
Yeah.
saw it otherwise. You know what I mean? So if we think
Yeah.
about it that way, we are this next generation where no wonder I get self-conscious about lines on my forehead because I'm 6 inches away from a phone a lot of the time. So I see it. But that used to not be a thing. And so I guess this all comes into the perfectionism, the performance, the exceptionalism that is very much valued. And I would say it's not just Utah culture. Say it's
Yeah.
it's worldwide. Again, maybe it's the
Totally.
phones, maybe it's, but that is, I think that really does feed into it. And I think what we can do, this is what I share with moms. If you and I were just having coffee or even like we were back in Orlando a few weeks ago, I would say if a mom says, I want to make sure I'm being a good mom. Yes, we want others to see us as a good mom, but if we're honest, we want our kids to see us as a good mom. We want them
Yes.
20 years down the
Yeah.
road to say, my mom, Allison, was amazing. I mean, she was a businesswoman, but she always had time for us and she would listen to our emotions. And so one quick exercise, want me to share with you what I encourage people
Yeah.
to do? It's a little outside the box. It's a little uncomfortable. And you can do it. Anyone can do it. But I've done this with my kids. I should have brought this in, but I have about every, I don't know, let's just say at least every 6 months. Our goal is kind of like every quarter. It's a change of seasons to just sit down with our kids individually and just sit down. I have 4 kids, 2 are adopted through the foster care system. And in a way, now don't get me wrong, the neglect that my 2 girls had that put them into the foster care system, not okay. But compared to what Ruby Franke did, I mean, blows my mind. Blows my mind. But we sit them down and we just ask a couple questions. First, we say, how are you doing? Like our phones are away. How are you doing? Like, tell me how are things right now? Depending on their age, like age appropriateness, but just like a check-in. And then the next question is, I really want you to know how much I love you. I care about you. You're growing so much. Your brain is changing. There's probably so much going on. But how can I show you that I love you even more?
That's sweet.
What could I do to, like, what is it that you love? And usually they kind of go, I don't know. That's like the first question. Like, no, without saying, I
Totally.
don't know. How can I show you that I love you even more? And that will lead into the love languages of your kids in a way, but to really like take time, don't rush this answer. But even if you just get to this point, sometimes, and now that my kids are teens, it's like they love if I take them out to like a coffee shop and we like, hey, chat about this. But to ask that question, because I want to know, and I don't want to know 20 years down the road when they're in therapy, I kind of joke, but I want to know now, what is it like to be on the other side of me? And I think all of us can ask that, whether or not we're married, divorced,
Mm.
whatever our situation is. But like, I want to know, you basically want to know, what is it like to be on the other side of me? And to make sure that in that conversation, we're not shaming them. We're not saying, that's not how it happened. I don't do that. Like, just to listen. And then I have a little notepad when we do this. So I just have a little, post it and I just take some notes like, okay, what would be something fun that we could do over this next month that you think would be awesome? And so I'm just asking some questions. What is it like? How can I show you that I love you more? What are some things you love doing with me? And what would you like for us to do? What's the last question? Because this is where it really comes into, again, the love languages. What would you like me to do less of? What would you like me to do more of? And what would you like me to do less of? And I tell you, it always is, I'd like you to be on your phone less. I'm about to
Yeah.
say, I'm like, they also, now they're old enough where they
Right.
know, and I try to be so good about that with my phone. I really do. If they're talking to me, to put my phone down, it's not always easy. They know I work 25 to 30 hours on my phone. I always have. We homeschool, we're all together a lot. So like they know, but I try to make sure I'm not just picking it up all the time. But it's usually like, yeah, like less on your phone. I'm like, okay, note taken. So it's hard as a parent. I will say it's hard. The easy thing is to not ever have these conversations because who wants to feel like we're not doing things awesome? But at the same time, it's the best, easy little remedy where we can kind of humble ourselves as parents and let them know, I love you so much. What would you like more of? What would you like less of? And just get the response that I have it on my mirror. And every time we kind of switch it up, I put it up again to remind myself, okay, my daughter Ella loves when I just take her on errands. Like she loves me just including her in that. And my daughter Rose loves playing games. Cade loves when I tuck him in at night, even though he's a 15-year-old boy, and it's like, so to write these things down, to have it. And I think that just keeps us on track because I guarantee you, Ruby Franke wasn't checking in with her kids. Hey guys, do you like doing this whole YouTube thing? No, they hated it. They hated it.
Hated it.
I mean, it was absolutely traumatizing. And so we have control as parents to do some of these little things that are going to be really, really big things to our kids to assure that they are emotionally healthy. We all want that for our kids, right? Emotionally
Yeah.
healthy adults. And I just hope and pray that the kids that have been, taken out of her care are just so nurtured and that this trauma can really be um, erased eventually through so much love. I don't know, but
I
it
couldn't
has been
even
wild.
imagine just even the concept of family vlogging,
Yeah.
like Sherry Frankie, who is the eldest daughter, has
Yes.
been really outspoken, and her mission is to eliminate family vlogging altogether because the kids aren't young enough or old
Yeah.
enough to consent one way or the other, and how traumatizing it is.
Yes.
And she even said in her book that Ruby had redecorated the house so it was Instagram friendly. It was
Mm.
YouTube friendly, and nothing was comfortable. And so she couldn't have a mess. She couldn't, all of the furniture was not comfortable. It was all for angles and lighting, and everything was bright yellow and bright white and very sterile.
Yes.
And she just got engaged and said, "This is going to be my last post where I'm going to be sharing about my personal life. You're going to hear from me because I'm advocating for families, but I'm going to keep my family and my future husband and my future kids my own because I want to do it for my family." And so it's interesting to be in diametric opposition to the messaging of LDS Mormon Church around the family vlogging is like a recruiting technique and a tool of like seeing a delightful family that looks beautiful and they operate in this church and it seems so happy and funny and whatever and inviting, and what a beautiful existence it is. So it is such a big trade-off.
It is.
It almost is. Even you, Janelle, talking about lifestyle and the different lifestyles that you see, where you can see sister wives shopping together at Costco,
Oh, yeah.
those that are wearing the prairie kind of clothes and the 80s hair. And
The
then,
special braids, and you can tell. I mean,
yes,
yeah.
what else do you see?
Well, yes, it is. If you came to Costco with me right now, we would definitely see that. Um, oh man, we could talk about that's of course, that is the fundamental LDS church. There was a split, years and years ago with that. Current LDS religion is not pro polygamy, but that still does exist and is all very, very close down here. Gosh, what else do we see? I would say if you were to come down here, you'd see a lot of med spas. You would see a lot of, beautiful girls in their 20s with their lips injected and full-on Botox and fillers. And listen, I'm not saying that's horrible. I'm just saying, for crying out loud, you're 20, like wait till you're my
Right.
age or whatever, but there's definitely, it's that first impression. And I'd say that's very evident. In the gym, you're made up. I don't know if this is how it is in Atlanta where you are, but we're
It is for
definitely
me
all about,
personally. That's my
okay,
opinion, but not everybody.
right, not
No, it's not
everybody's.
normal.
But there's definitely, yeah, the outfits in the gym is like next level. Like it's just next
Are
level. I
they
kind of
like
say
Gucci outfits or what?
it's either the whole what, and again, maybe this is how it is other places, but it's either the one color full leotard
Okay.
or the matching, top, belly showing and leggings or short shorts matching. It's very much, a lot of times it's like as least amount of skin as possible, which kind of brings us into that other part of the conversation of the temple garments you and I were talking about, and just
What are
find it
temple
interesting.
garments?
The temple garments, and when you've been married in the LDS church, and you receive your temple garments when you have kind of passed the test, done the things to be able to be married in the church, you receive your special temple garments. And this has always been, it has changed over the years. So if you just look up, kind of the evolution of Mormon temple garments, it's interesting. But what was just announced this last year is, hey guys, it's always been cropped on the sleeve. So the tank like I'm wearing now, you would not be wearing this because it needs to cover here over the cap of
Okay.
your shoulders. So you can tell, okay, what else you see? I was at my kids' track and field meet. I'm like first time track and field parents here. So, but you'll see the cute outfits, like a white t-shirt underneath some kind of baggy Free People overalls. But you very much see that, oh, they're wearing garments. You can see who is, I guess you'd say temple worthy, if that's the right way to say it, who's wearing the garments. And, but however, they do not need to be worn during 3 times. If you are bathing, if you are having sex, if you are at the gym. So it's
Wow.
interesting because I feel like at the gym, it's probably like, yeah, let's just like show lots of
Right.
skin. Not everybody, but that's very different from where I came from. I mean, it's like my husband will say, he's like, he'll work out with my son, and he's like, we just went to another part of the gym to work out because there's just all sorts of things right in our face as we're trying to lift.
Oh,
So
well,
that's
I'm wondering, yeah, Janelle, I don't know how many Mormons there are to non-Mormons in Utah or where you live. Do you feel like people interact with you differently if they are of a different faith? Do you notice anything different with it?
You know, in St. George, I believe we're at about 120,000 maybe down here. We're about 2 hours north of Las Vegas. We're right on the border. We're kind of like the three corners: Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. Really close to the Grand Canyon. So you kind of see where we are.
Sounds
Um,
beautiful.
it is so beautiful. We absolutely love being here, and we love the people. I have neighbors. I'd say where I am, and I'm up closer to where the whole shakedown was with Ruby Franke. So I'm right up near there, near Santa Clara and Ivans, but still within St. George limits. A little different up here, I feel, as my friends that live over in more the southeast part of St. George, and my friends that have moved there that are not LDS. I've heard for the last 3 years, it's hard for my kids to make friends. You know, they're friendly at
Mm.
first, and then when they find out we don't go to their church, they don't want their kids playing with our kids. We've not experienced that in our neighborhood. We love our neighbors. We have great neighbors. I'm in the mom chat, in our neighborhood. Fantastic. I mean, it's like, hey guys, does anybody have whatever? I need a baby carrier because my sister's coming into. Oh, hey, I got one for you. I mean, it's so generous. Like the values here, the culture, it is very much give the shirt off your back. So we haven't noticed that. If anything, I'll just say I feel like I have a lot of fantastic opportunities. I don't know if this is just my personality. I don't know, but even if it's me, like with my coffee, we're talking. My heart is that I want people, no matter, I guess, even what they align themselves with, even religion wise. I want us all to be walking in freedom. And I want that to
Mm.
be kind of so a lot of my conversation is around that. It's like, yes, I'm drinking coffee, like walking in freedom. My religion is not about what I drink or don't drink. It is about like who I serve. I mean, I have a big conversation, I feel like, that comes up, or I should say a statement is, religion's message is change and you can join us. Now, if that goes deep, that's the core
Mm.
message of a lot of cult beliefs. Change, do these things, and then you can join us. So
Right.
generally speaking, religion's message, if you look at a lot of world religions, it's change and then you can join us. But the conversation I have commonly with people here is, hey, let's look what the Bible says. Jesus says, join me and you will change because your love is overflowing. So I believe it comes from a
Mm.
place of feeling so connected, so aligned with your beliefs that it overflows from you. And so for me, I know just personally, like my love for the Lord is an overflow in my life. I don't do good things because I should, and it's going to get me to the highest celestial level of heaven. In the LDS faith, it's 3 levels of heaven, not a hell. So yeah, it's a great selling point. But for me, it's like knowing his message is join us and you will change. It's like naturally we change. We love someone, we naturally want to do great things. And so it's not coming from a place of works or performance, but it's coming from a place of love. And I do think a lot of LDS friends, a lot of my they totally get that. They are serving their communities, they're doing amazing things because of their love. Generally speaking, my personal experience from living kind of in this land, we're roughly 50-50 of 50% being LDS faith, or maybe, yeah, maybe they would consider themselves Jack Mormons, which they still go to the church, they still say they're Mormon, but they drink coffee and they drink alcohol and they do other things. But
Are
so
those
still, that
like
would
the
be probably
Secret Lives of Mormon wives? Would they be considered Jack Mormons? A Jack
absolutely.
LDS? Yeah.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I'm told. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
do think it's like to know that there can be a walking in freedom kind of a perspective with religion. That's my hope for people.
I love it. What a beautiful way to kind of wrap up this conversation. I do have one curveball. I'm curious as to your opinion on Kevin. Do you think Kevin, the father, is guilty, innocent?
Okay, I would just say I think he's been completely brainwashed. So I think when you look at the psychological trauma, and especially if you're going off of what we know and what was shared from him saying like and you told me about this, Allison, I didn't believe it until I saw it in the documentary about that chart that he knew everyone, he
Oh,
had
yeah.
there's 5 suitors for Ruby Franke, right? Or whatever it was. He
Yeah.
wanted to court her, and she had the list in her closet of, so if you guys don't know, you got to watch the documentary to see this. He so wanted to be the one to be chosen. I mean, talk about all of us having this in our human nature to want to be desired, to want to be
Yeah.
accepted. He so wanted that. Like you think of Court, whatever he was, 18 years old. He wanted to be loved, admired, and loved by Ruby. And he was willing to do whatever it took to become that person that she wanted. And then for all of those years to, probably say yes to the things. Yes, he contributed to a lot of, obviously, with the channel and what made it so fantastic, I guess, and drew people in from all around the world. So he was a contributor to it. But as far as the, I don't think he knew, if I had to guess, I would say he'd be guilty of the emotional trauma. Like he had a part in the emotional trauma with those kids, having them do so many of the things they probably didn't want to do. But what it all came down to at the very end there, he obviously had no idea what was happening. So I would say, as far as, if I had to say, I guess I would say innocent. He was absolutely brainwashed, it sure seems,
Yeah.
into thinking they were doing the right thing. Again, it was a cult that was created by this Jodi Hildebrand, no doubt about it. And when you believe, and they show, if you believe any of these lies long enough, whether or not you're a narcissist or you're following a narcissist, it becomes a truth to you. It becomes like a core truth. It becomes a part of your identity. And so it's real hard to shake that off when you are not only getting money, not only when money is involved, and not only when your worth is involved, when you've like built your family around this, man, it's wild. But if I had to answer, I would say it sure seems like he's innocent. And I believe he's filed for divorce. I sure hope he's getting some serious love and therapy, and I just wish grace upon grace for all the children that have been involved, all 6 of the
Yeah.
kids and their future. I do believe it can be that's a generational, that's a darkness that does not have to be continued in all of those kids. And I think there can really be freedom for each of them moving forward.
Yeah, my hope is the same. It's funny because I have more of a sympathetic view, kind of like you, towards Kevin. And my husband, who is watching it with me, he's like, that guy is such a jerk. Like, I can't believe he was so mad at Kevin, where he is guilty. And so if you look online, people are really angry
Gotcha.
at Kevin not getting more shit, for being more involved, for taking more of an active stance. And it is
Absolutely.
interesting to, probably the reason why, or part of the reason why, is that I don't think Ruby Franke respected him at all. And so as much as he was like bowing at her feet, and still to this day, which was really shocking at the end, when they asked, "Do you still love her?" And he said, "Yeah, I do."
Ugh,
And
gross.
you're like, how? There's so many layers that I think reflect our culture, where we are, religion, cults in general, the feeling of belonging, wanting to be perfect, wanting to live a good life, wanting to be exalted to heaven, whatever it is for you. There's so, like, everything is just thrown into one, of being a good mom, good parent, good citizen. And from what we can tell, even her neighbors hated her and found her cold and fake and not
Right.
very friendly and warm to be America's mom. So it's an interesting perspective. I've loved talking to you, Janelle, about your perspective living here. It's like my jaw was on the floor when when we were
There's so
talking
much
about
more.
this. About Utah. We'll have to do a part 2.
Oh,
But
baby.
I
And
know
all
that
good, I
you
want to say. Yeah. I mean, a lot of
what
good things. Sorry, I was just going to add, like, a lot of good things, like just little nuances that I think we don't always talk about. I mean, in the whole city of St. George, we have two places you can buy alcohol. The 2 state liquor stores. You're not buying alcohol anywhere else. You have 2 state liquor stores with a population of like 100,000+. Like little things like that people go, "Wait, what?"
I'm curious. I wonder if alcoholism is much less in Utah because of it? It'd be
I've
interesting
wondered
to
that
see.
too. I don't know the answer.
Or, if you need a, to
Mhm.
find it, you're going to find it. It'd be interesting to know.
Mhm.
Um, Janelle, I know that you have a retreat coming up in the beautiful, where is the retreat? It is in Utah,
It's in
right?
Ivins. It's in Ivins, Utah, where it's at
In Ivins.
it's a new, if you guys are familiar with, yes, Ivins, we're right outside of St. George. I mean, it's all kind of in the same area. And so this is a place we kind of learned after we booked that some pretty cool A-list celebrities stay at with their families when they come up to visit. So it's surrounded by red rocks. It's right on the border of what's called Snow Canyon State Park, which is our
Mm,
beautiful state. We're surrounded by state parks. You guys know we're right near Zion. Now I say Zion. All the locals tell me I say it wrong. It's Zion. However,
okay.
so we're right out. So it's the same. It's that just the red rocks, the different kinds of rocks. We have a lot of lava rock, a lot of, volcanic activity has been here in the past. And so, yes, our 3-day retreat, it's called Desert Forge. The
Mm.
mastermind that my husband Andrew leads, it's called the Clan. Andrew's English, lives on the border of England and Scotland. And so
Yeah,
the
here
Clan
in
is
America, the Klan is not a great
oh, maybe I should maybe I
it
should get
may be
rid of that.
misinterpreted here in America, the
Okay, now
Klan,
this kind of clan is different. We're talking tartan. We're thinking like
right?
Outlander. We're thinking like, come on, like male, like
Yes,
strong male warriors, healthy masculinity. Okay. However, it's males and females. And so this whole focus for the retreat, it's 2.5 days. And we just believe the biggest breakthroughs don't happen in small chunks. Like the biggest breakthroughs happen not when you're buried in the day to day, but when you can get away. And so this retreat is really different. Our big focus is having this time for people to not only get clear on the strategy for their business and next step moving forward, but a big focus is going to be also on family. So whether someone's married, in a relationship and or has kids, we're bringing that into it because we do believe we can do this well. We can scale business while we're also growing and nurturing the most important relationships in our life. And so that's what we're doing during this time. It's a 3-night high-level mastermind designed for entrepreneurs who who refuse to choose between massive business success and a thriving personal life.
I
And
love it.
so you can find information about that probably most directly is on our Instagram, which is at Devlin Worldwide. And the link is right in there. You can read about what the retreat is. We're capping it because we're staying at one of these beautiful villas there. Private pool, spa, 3-level pool. We're right on the corner, so we just have amazing views all around. Sunsets are going to be amazing. And so we have room. We still have one more king suite left. Also, we have a pretty sweet bunk room for those that want to come with the group. And so anyway, feel free to reach out with any questions about that. But we're really excited just to have this immersive experience to help people gain clarity on maybe what's holding them back, or maybe just to have the time and space to really get real on what really is success for you. And let's make sure we get that plan in place now. So 10 years, 20 years, like by the time our lives are over and we're saying our last words, we have no regrets for how we built business and how we raised family.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Janelle.
Thank you.
I loved having you on and learning about it. And I think you also have even a tourist kind of thing about the best hikes in Utah. Is that right?
I do. Yeah. So if you guys, as you find us over on Devlin Worldwide, just DM us a message, just say hikes, and we'll send over to you the best hikes in southern Utah. We put together quite the fun list along with some pictures. So when you're down here, you can kind of know of some really special places that a lot of us, I'm careful not to give away all the local secrets because people get really angry about that, but just like some really good family-friendly hikes where you can just get amazing pictures, enjoy the outdoors, get some dirt under your fingernails, and like live a full life while you're out here with us.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Janelle. It was so great to talk to you and so
great
juicy.
to have you. So much juice.
Huge thanks to Janelle Devlin for bringing her insights and real talk today. Make sure you follow her on the socials or get more info on her upcoming retreat. All the links are in the show notes. And we want to keep these thoughtful conversations going. And if this chat sparked your curiosity about starting your own podcast, guess what? You don't have to figure it out on your own. Let's hop on a clarity call and I'll help you map out your ideas and launch a podcast that puts your voice exactly where it belongs, front and center. All of my links are in the show notes. You can book a free call with me at AllisonHare.com/free call. I'd love to hear from you anyway. Until next time, keep questioning, keep reinventing, and I'll catch you for our next hang in the reinvention room.